title fight took a big turn last time out of Chicagoland. Now Henry Thomas, the winner of the last 2 races in the 1UP Nitro National Series, has a big lead as we head off to Rockingham Speedway for race number 23 of the 25-race season in the 2024 Nitro National season. And what better place to have a race than at Rockingham for 79 laps under the lights, this very high-banked, very action-intense 1-mile oval that's had some great races over the years, and who knows what'll happen when the checkered flag flies here tonight. And alongside me to bring you all the action once again for tonight's race is Duke Anzac once again. Well, like I said, Rockingham, great track to race on, and for a couple guys in the field, this is their last chance to make something happen for their season.
Yeah, it certainly is. We've got a laundry list of drivers that could be potentially facing elimination today. Pretty much everybody from 7th on back in our point standings are having that possibility, especially those that are 10th on back, really in a tough spot today. But our primary focus is going to be the top 3 drivers in the standings. Henry Thomas, Cody Goforth, and Earl Sear. Get used to their names. We'll be talking about them a lot this week, and they all are starting right near each other, and this is going to be a tough race for all 3 of them. Henry Thomas has got to be feeling a little bit good with about a 33-point lead over both of them, but you can never be too careful, especially in the playoffs. We've seen things, crazy stuff happen recently.
Yep, and for the last few races, expect that trend to continue as we carry on into the final weeks. As we can now bring you the starting lineup for today's 79 laps of action at the Rock. Ryan Griffin gets pole position, his 2nd of the season. He lines up alongside James Ellison, who really needs a good day to keep his season alive, even if he's not in the playoffs, because he stated one more bad performance out of that 31, and he says he'd take a sabbatical till 2025 to reassess Crossroads Racing's efforts. Kev Shearer starting 3rd, great spot for him ahead of Skylar Taylor, who I believe gets a career best start today in 4th. JD Martin was fastest in practice, he lines up in 5th. But, like I said, lots of storylines to keep our eye on. What's the big one for you?
I don't know. I think that the biggest one really, well, all of our playoff drivers are starting in the top 20 today, and that's great for the playoffs. It's a great look, and we really truly know that these 12 drivers, despite the fact that there's a massive separation in points due to some issues that we saw earlier in the playoffs, but they're all in the top 20 today. Most of them are in the top 15. That's a great story that we have going into this race, but I really think that the biggest storyline right now, Henry Thomas starting in 9th. He's starting ahead of Goforth and Sear. We're going to see if he's able to stay ahead of those 2 and if he's going to be able to stay out of trouble. If Henry Thomas has any sort of trouble today, if he finishes 20th on back, it could be game on next week for the championship. So we'll see how it plays out.
So with that being said, we have 42 cars ready to rumble at the Rock, and we're ready to bring you that action. This is the 1UP Nitro National Series playoffs from Rockingham. Let's get ready to roll here at the Rock. Getting ready for a big night here at Rockingham. Ryan Griffin and James Ellison lead us to the green flag. It's in the air, and a couple of these guys, as we take the green flag, getting quite antsy in the mid-top 10 towards the back of it. But Ryan Griffin leads us off in the turn 1. Kev Shearer already taking a peek on the inside.
Got a fantastic track here. Races a lot like a high-speed short track, if you can imagine that, like in Iowa or maybe even a Richmond. But look at this. The high banks in the corner allows everybody to use whichever lane they want. So here we are. We can see this 31 falling back early in this race, and now a battle for the lead down into turn 1.
Yeah, Kev Shearer on the inside, Ryan Griffin powering off the outside, trying to make something happen. JD Martin from 5th starting spot, already up to 3rd. Everyone on the inside line got a huge launch at the start. The outside's not really preferred at the start, but you're going to need to learn how to run it for the later part of the run, because that is going to be your saving grace later on. But for now, Ryan Griffin leads the opening 2 laps, and now he's starting to pull away in a big way from Kev Shearer.
And something interesting, wow, as we see 3 wide, 2 rows deep here in the middle of the pack. This is intense racing here at Rockingham, but something you'll notice about this track is that each turn is a little bit different because of the angle of the front straightaway. You get a wider entry down into turn 1, and you get a wider exit coming out of turn 4. That's just the nature of the D-shaped front straightaway that we have here at Rockingham. The back straightaway, however, is straight back, also similar to a Richmond or an Iowa Speedway like we've seen before. But here is for the second position. There's Kev Shearer. He is 82 points back from the lead right now in the championship standings. That's at least going into this race. So we'll see. He needs a big day like he's having right now, except in comparison to that 12 car who's only a few positions behind.
And only a few positions behind him is his main challenger, Cody Goforth. He's doing what he needs to do right now. Just find an early spot to ride in for now. Wait until the race settles in, maybe until the pit cycle. Then you can really put the pedal down and start to make inroads on the 12. If we look at James Ellison now in the 31, he started in second. He's currently running fifth. I know it's not where he wanted to be at the early stages, but it's still a really strong day from a team that really needs it.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and it'll come back. I mean, obviously this car has the speed, you know, not the preferred lane to start the race, and that's a lot of why he fell back so soon. So that second place starting position, he'll get back up there and be competitive in this one before long.
And here is Cody Goforth stuck behind his teammate Skylar Taylor in the 03. Goforth's actually last of the Fair & Co cars at the moment. Arnold's in 4th, Taylor in 7th, Goforth down in 8th. So plenty of time left in this race. We're coming up on 71 laps to go, but it's got to be a tough position for Cody Goforth to look at his two teammates running better than him and knowing that he's the one in a real position to win this championship.
You're right, and the urgency level has to be high, very, very high for Cody Goforth, especially while Henry Thomas is ahead. As long as that 12 car is ahead, he is going to gain more points than Cody Goforth is on him, and that's just absolutely a no-go. That cannot be the outcome today for Cody Goforth if he wants to have a real shot at winning the championship next weekend. So, you know, for now, like you said, it's early. It's not time to panic yet. However, it is time to try to find a groove here, try to find some speed, maybe match some of that speed from the teammates, maybe have some communication with the spotter and the crew chief to really figure out what they are doing that's a little bit different, and then start making some passes here.
Yeah, and find out what adjustments that car needs on the pit stops, which should be coming at about the halfway point of this race. But we're only on lap 11 now, and Thomas seems pretty content to just ride behind Ellison for the moment. He doesn't need to push the issue. He's got a 32-point lead over the 01, so he's pretty content to just ride it out. He doesn't need to force the issue. The 01 might need to.
Yeah, it is about that time in this race to just really find what your car needs, like you said, so you can adjust on that pit stop. And then also you need to be closer to the front in this one. I mean, the 92 is starting to drive away with it here. He's almost a half second ahead of the 20 car. That gap has stayed pretty large throughout this entire race so far. We'll see. Yeah, it's still, it's even more. It's almost a whole second now. It is a second between himself and the third position, number 72. So that's an interesting, you know, how it's going to go. This 92 starting to drive away. Ryan Griffin. Griffin is 78 points back from the championship leader right now, who is running in 6th place. So a win would be big, but not huge at this point in the race. We'll see what happens during the pit stop cycle and throughout the rest of the race. Maybe this win will mean more than we so far can tell.
And here is the battle for second between Kev Shearer and J.D. Martin racing for the runner-up spot. J.D. Martin's got a bit of a mission here tonight. He's racing not just for himself, but for the Owners' Championship in the 72. He's quite a bit ways behind in that fight, only 10th in the Owners' standings. But he's got to give it everything for the team, for himself, because this is a big deal for him. If he can win this race, he would be that driver to make history and become the first driver to win in all 3 series. And that is something that a lot of people are shooting for.
Yeah, that would be really incredible for J.D. Martin. And, of course, that Owners Championship battle is on the line. The outlook is grim for that team. However, you always want to give it your best. And running 3rd place, I mean, that is a great spot to be early in this race like we are. 3rd place, nothing to scoff at. It is absolutely somewhere that you prefer to be than if you were running farther back in the pack.
Here we are looking at Ellison trying to get by Ryan Arnold in the 10. Now, Arnold's got a bit of a hill to climb in the championship fight as well. I think the team might be starting to shift focus towards this 01 in its bid for the championship, because the 10's a lot farther back in the title fight. But you got to keep in mind as well, Ryan Arnold will be taking over that 01 next season, moving out of his 10 car to take over the flagship 01 machine. So Arnold's got a mission as well, get as good a finish as he can to build some momentum for 2025.
For sure, and Arnold has had a good season. I mean, right now in the top 10 in the final point standings as they run. And, he's 88 points back going into this race, so yeah, kind of not in the picture, of course, unless those top 3 were to run into issues, but really a solid season for Ryan Arnold so far that we've had here. 3 top 5s, 8 top 10s, and a solid average finish as well, so it's been good, and right now putting together a great top 5 run and keeping in touch a little bit with the leaders, about 2.5 seconds back. So that's a great day, and maybe you can make something happen on the pit stop here and come out of Rockingham with a solid result, and then shift the focus to next year when you're going to be driving that 01 car, and it's going to be even better. Another year with the team, and another great driver to stay in that stable.
As we approach the 1/4 distance in this race, Ryan Griffin has led every lap so far. Kev Shearer and J.D. Martin continue to do battle for second spot. Arnold and Ellison having a slight battle for fourth spot. Henry Thomas, though, just very content right now to ride in 6. He doesn't have to force the issue. He's got a decent cushion to the 01, and so far he's gaining on both of his main rivals. I think that's why he's not trying to force it on the 31 or the 10.
Yeah, I think so too. If they went into this race, they qualify 9th. I think if you had told that team that they would run in 6th all day and then eventually finish in 6th, they would have absolutely taken that result with what's at stake here. A 6th place finish is a solid finish to go into next week with a little bit of a gap. But right now, especially for them, the fact that their main competition is behind them, that is a huge advantage for that team. So yeah, absolutely no risks right now for Henry Thomas in the 12 car.
But I think the risk factor is a little higher for the top 3, because 2 of them are in desperate situations in the playoffs. The other has no stake in them. He's a superstar driver. He's trying to make history here at Rockingham, and he's trying to find a way past Kev Shearer in this 20, but JHM Honda is doing a fantastic job playing defense.
Yeah, I'm curious what this 72 car could do if he were to get past Kev Shearer. I think that he might be a little bit faster right now, not a ton faster, but a little bit faster nonetheless, and that's why he's able to be kind of right up on his bumper. He needs to find a way around. If we were going to ever find out what this car could do, maybe in a little bit cleaner air, to try to chase down that 92.
Yeah, and I'm very curious if JD's able to do it, because he's a superstar guy. He has a superstar win this season at Chicagoland, so he knows what to do. He knows what he's doing in these cars, and this is the last box he needs to check on his resume for race wins. So yeah, this would be a big day for JD Martin if he can just get past this pesky 20 car.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. I mean, the pit stop cycle should prove to be pretty interesting. And here's maybe a little bit of a move for the 72. He's closer than he has been down the front straightaway. I'm not sure if he's going to be close enough, though. He's not, and then he's going to get that door shut on him by the 20. No, he's going to go to the bottom, so they're going to be side by side down the back straightaway. We'll see if he can get by. It looks like Shearer's just going to give it to him.
Yeah, there's no real point in putting up a fight when this 72 is clearly faster. Shearer's going to settle back into 3rd place, while JD is going to try and set off after the 92 of Ryan Griffin. He's got a 2.5-second gap to make up. We'll see how much inroad he can make in the waiting stages of this first.
Well, like you said, he's a savvy veteran, so we'll see what he's able to do. If he has saved a little bit of tire for this, that may have been why he was sitting there riding behind Kev Shearer for so long, just saving some tire, saving that car up for the end of the run. As we approach it right now, we are kind of in the end of this longer run that we have here, approaching the pit stop. So we'll see if he can make any inroads on the 92 with maybe a little bit pressure. yeah, maybe fresher, cooler tires in that car. So he's already, yeah, he's gaining a lot on that 20 car. So we'll see what the gap is this time. It'll be this first full clean lap ahead of the 20. Look at that. He gained almost 3/10 on that one. So yeah, this 72 car is rolling right now, and he is gaining time on the leader.
Now here's something to keep an eye on as well as we look at the back end of the field. Benjamin Snyder now in the last position on the road. They're going to catch lap traffic before the end of this race, and that could be a very big factor in who wins, because if Ryan Griffin gets held up by the lap traffic, as JD only gains about a half a tenth on that occasion, but if Griffin gets held up by the lap traffic, then that will allow Martin to close right up to the back of it.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's a tough day for Benjamin Snyder in last place. Started this race in the 22nd position, so yeah, rough start for Snyder. However, running in last place, he could be the first person to play impact into the leaders battle, like you said. So they will be catching lap traffic if there's no caution. Right now, it doesn't look like there's going to be a caution. Of course, you have to knock on wood to possibly not get that, you know. But anything could happen here, especially at Rockingham. But so far, it looks like this race has a really green feel to it, and it could prove that the lap traffic.
Oh, looks like we got a problem on our third place car. Kev Shearer up the racetrack and slowing dramatically in the first and second corners.
That is so tough for Kev Shearer. We'll see what happens. He's going to have to try to get... Oh, he's in the wall now.
Yeah, I think he just blew a right front tire on that 20. He's trying to get down the pit road, but there's nowhere for him to go. Turns down, but Riley Hooper's already there. He's going to try and squeeze his way down here, and he does, but he's going to stack up a lot of people behind him.
Did. Now this is a really bad situation for a lot of these drivers. The 76, Elijah Ironhouse is in there. Now there's one in the wall. It's the 77. That's Meyer right there, so we'll see. There's still 3 wide. Oh, boy. Yeah, Kev Shearer, that is a tough break. He was running in the 3rd position, had just given up the 2nd spot for the first time in the race, and now he's on the pit lane, so he's going to have to try to make it to the end of the race on a really early stop. And, you know, he was so slow around the track that last lap. I'm not sure, even if the strategy plays out, I'm not sure if it's going to work out to be positive for Kev Shearer today.
Yeah, this is a really early time to make your pit stop. So, I mean, he had to do it because that tire was blowing when he came out of turn 2. So, not much of a choice for him, but he's now...
And that car has a lot of damage, too. So
he is also now 2 laps down for good measure. So
we'll see how much faster he is. He does have a lot of damage, though, so it might not be that good of a representation of what a short pit could look like.
I mean, the good news for him is he will have 38 lap fresher tires than everyone else, and even despite that cosmetic damage, he should still be able to blast by the leaders and get at least one of his laps back.
I would expect that, too, and then we'll see how it cycles out. So not all hope is lost for Kev Shearer, but he was the guy that really needed to win. Look at the speed difference in the middle of the corner between him and the 31 car, who is running right now in the 3rd position.
Yeah,
so
lost
the
in
20
all that.
Really
lost in all that was that Ellison did get by Ryan Arnold in that 10 car to put himself in the 3rd. That also puts Henry Thomas in the top 5 position. So a lot changed in the space of that one time, but
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Kev Shearer. I mean, if he's out there for, I don't know, let's say 10 laps, I mean, you're going to get those 10 laps of being a lot faster than these guys. You lost a lot of time on that half lap that you were going really slowly and then trying to get into the pits. Yeah, I don't know how this could work out for him, because then once everybody else pits, you're going to be on a tire disadvantage for the remainder of the race. So it's a bit tough, really early pit stop, but there you can see he's blowing by the 72. The 72 didn't do anything wrong despite their battle. That was just a mechanical situation for that 20 car. And now you have to think, I mean, that tire only made it 35 laps or so in the first run. You got to go way more than that now in this second run. So will he be able to? Well, we'll see if they maybe made a change, a tire pressure change or something. On that car.
Whoa! He almost slid up into the leader there.
Oh gosh!
On that corner, but Shearer does get his lap back on Ryan Griffin. He's now only 1 lap down We'll see what he can do as he catches up to the tail end of the field. And those guys are all now stacked up on top of each other because of his pit entry. So, I mean,
that was nearly a disaster for Ryan Griffin. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but we'll see, because J.D. Martin's cut that gap down to about a second, so...
Certainly has.
So if J.D.
Yeah, this is going to be...
Yeah, if J.D. pits first, that could really turn the tides of this race.
It could. It could flip it right upside down for the ones in the top 2 spots. And you're right about the back of the pack. They are tightly bound together right now because of that big stack up. I mean, he is going to basically run into a wall as soon as he catches the back end of the pack. Yeah, I don't know. It could really change things because, you know, the 92 will catch up to the back of the pack, and then 72 is going to catch him. But if there's nowhere to go, they're racing 2 wide, 3 wide in front of him. I mean, you won't be able to pass anybody, and then everybody else is going to start catching up. And guess what? Then we have a big battle for every position in this race, and everybody will be on fresh tires. So I don't know. This is going to be fascinating. Second half of the race that we have ahead of us here. The intensity has been picking up slowly and steadily since that issue with the 20 happened.
We're now looking at Jake McMillan, who's making a pass as Skylar Taylor makes the trip to pit road, and he's going to bring Ryan Reed with him. Okay, we've got our first takers from the top of the field on pit road. We'll see what Ryan Griffin does. He can't be far behind.
So just remember that Skylar Taylor was running in the 6th position when that team brought that car to the pit lane, and now our leader, Ryan Griffin, followed by the 31. So we'll see where the 03 cycles out. That's going to be fascinating. Cody Goforth is matching right here. It looked like the 12 stayed on the track.
Yeah, he did. So he's gonna do something a little different here too.
Yeah, so he avoids a really busy pit road. I think that might be a good call. This pit road is looking a lot like a caution period right now. You don't want to get in trouble on the pit lane. However, they're going to be entering the pits now, and everybody else is going to be exiting because the pit stops are about as long as a lap. So we'll see if that 12 ends up actually having a busier pit lane with people exiting while he's trying to enter. Oh boy.
Yeah, so there's Ryan. Yeah, he's exiting, and I think we'll see. Let's see what happens here, because I think there's somebody who stayed out. There he is. I think that's Cameron Brennan, who stayed out on the track for a further few laps. So this is good.
I'm sure take the lead.
He's
just barely. He does.
Yeah, he's probably gonna get the lead out of this because he had those tires on for about 10 laps longer than everybody else.
So he is at a 10-lap tire disadvantage right now, and of course this car is damaged, but we'll see what he's able to do if he can hold on to that gap for a little while. He might be okay, especially in lap traffic, and the 92 is behind a lap car right now.
Yeah, and Cody Goforth's gotten ahead of Henry Thomas on the pit stops.
All right. Well, that's, I think that Henry Thomas's team, they were okay with that. That's the decision they made with pitting 1 lap later to try to avoid the chaos of pit road. They've made it out of pit road okay, so still within touch of the 01 is solid right now for the 12.
Yeah, and here's Brennan exiting the pits. He was the last one on pit road because he stayed out a little longer to get a bonus point because he needs to stay in the top 30 for the end of the season. Why not do that? But for Kev Shearer, he's got a second lead over Ryan Griffin. That I wouldn't be too safe with that lead because it's probably going to be eaten alive by even the lap cars, considering they have 10-lap fresher tires. But the one saving grace he might have is that gray car, his teammate Ashton Blevins.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you can maintain that gap or maintain that lead for, I don't know, 15, 20 laps maybe, if you can survive for that long against this 92 car, those tires might start to equal out a little bit. So we'll see how long the 20 is able to hold on. So not all is lost for Kev Shearer back in the race right now, at least as we stand at this moment, with 2 cars in between himself and the 92, so he's got to start holding off these guys. These cars do matter for the 20 to keep behind because they are the gap cars. They are going to help him keep that gap.
Yeah, and one of them's his teammate.
Yeah, so this is, I don't know, this is fascinating right now. This race has been flipped kind of upside down because of that crazy strategy the 20 had to do because of his flat tire. Oh boy.
And now Blevins is trying to find a way around his teammate to unlap himself, because he's ahead of the 92 by a couple of car lengths, so he can afford to try and race his teammate to get back on the lead lap. He's trying to get as good a position as he can, because he's taking over at 20 next year. The teammates almost make him.
Don't hit him.
Yeah, here comes Blevins. He's trying to hook it left out of 2, try and get by, but that's going to set up Ryan Griffin in a really big way here.
Oh boy, yeah, this is it right here. The 92 is going to get right by the 20 car, and that is absolutely not what Kev Shearer wanted to see from his teammate right there, but that is how it works out. So Shearer, now it's time to just try to salvage a good finish, as good a finish as you can get. But this 72 car has spent all that time. The 92 was stuck behind the 20, gaining time.
Yeah, he was 2.5 seconds behind. He has picked up the pace in the last few laps.
Yeah, so now this car is absolutely the top contender as far as trying to take the lead away from Ryan Griffin there. He easily gets past the 20 car, so will the 5. Who is in last place right now. But yeah, J.D. Martin is right now chasing down the 92, who is still stuck behind some lap traffic, and this battle is about to pick up for the lead.
It sure is, and Ryan Griffin, these are his last few races in this series for the time being. He's going up to the Superstars level next season for Hyundai Saitomi Motorsports, and wouldn't he love to get one last win in this series before he moves on? It's probably not going to be the championship he was hoping for, but it would be good for him to get one last win before he goes ahead onward.
You know, and he's had an interesting season. He was the odds-on favorite to win the championship this year before we started the season, and then a really, really rough stretch to begin the season, hurt his performance in the regular season standings, and then just kind of was a no-show, middle of the pack for the first couple of playoff races. And here we are, the first race where he has shown kind of that dominance that we expected, at least in the playoffs, from this car all season. And he's really not in contention for the championship anymore, but in this race, like you said, definitely it's good to win, and a good way to go out would be with a win on the season for Ryan Griffin, or a couple. So, you know, that's what he's fighting for right now, but he's fighting against J.D. Martin, who has been extremely fast all day. He was stuck behind the 20 car for much of the first run in the race. He showed a lot of speed at the end of that run, so he's got the better long run car. We know that, and here he is right on the bumper of Ryan Griffin, who is struggling to try to get by some lap traffic in this one. It's lap 60, or almost lap 60 out of 79, and this thing is just getting started.
Yep, we've got about 20 laps to go now, and for J.D. Martin, like I said earlier, this is history-making if he can win this race. He's the first guy to win in all 3 of 1UP's main divisions. That would be a thing he'd love to have on his resume to keep forever. But he's got to get by one of the best in this series, Ryan Griffin, to make it happen, and he's so close to making it happen.
Yeah, so the pass that he made for the second position earlier in this race, he was running in third for a lot of it, just biding his time behind the 20 car before the tire issue. What he was able to do was he went through turns 3 and 4 like we are right now. He got really close, and then down the front straightaway is where he dropped down to the bottom lane like this, and then he went through turns 1 and 2 about a lane and a half lower than we typically see them run, kind of up about a half lane. So he went low, he made that pass through 1 and 2. The 20 car let him have it though, onto the back straightaway, so we'll see what happens this time. Obviously, for the lead, it's a little bit different. Ryan Griffin is not going to lay over for J.D. Martin like the 20 did earlier in this race, so this is going to be fascinating to see if that same move could work out for the 72 car.
And it looks as though these two are probably going to be the only ones fighting for victory without a caution, considering Kev Shearer has fallen almost 5 seconds off the lead and into the clutches of James Ellison, Skylar Taylor, and the rest. So it's going to be a 1v1 showdown in the final 15 laps of this race between Martin and Griffin. But, you know, this is what we came to see. We came to see the best drivers racing for the win, and right now we have the guy who's led the most laps of this race versus the guy who is fastest in the long runs in practice.
Yeah, and this is for those of you who are going to be doing some scoreboard watching for the rest of this race. The car to keep an eye on is number 01. He's 6 seconds back from the lead, but that's not the important number. He is only 4/10ths back from the 4th place car, number 31, who is now in the 3rd position after they all have passed, almost all of them have passed Kevin Shearer in the 20. So keep an eye on that 01 car. If he can get up into, he's within touch. If he can get up into that 3rd place without the 12 car gaining any spots, we could have ourselves a battle going into the final race next week.
Final 2 races coming up, and with Kev Shearer's backing up in a big hurry. Those tires are finally wearing off on him. But critically, look who's right behind him on the racetrack, Henry Thomas, and he is not having a good run through the traffic. He's fallen out of the top 10, even with passing the 20.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so that is really bad. The 01 remains in the 6th position. He is about 3/10ths back. Oh, he's farther back now. He's about 5/10ths back from the 10 car just ahead of him. He's got 2 teammates in front of him right now. That's got to be frustrating, trying to get by your own teammates in this race, but there's a lot of lap traffic kind of in between all these cars right now. So this is it's a little bit fascinating to see what's going to happen between all of them. But yeah, the 12 car backing up, hopefully the 01 gaining time and maybe making up some spots. We could have ourselves quite the championship battle after this race.
We head to Walt Disney World Speedway next. That's a track no one in 1-up has been to before, so bit of an unknown going into the penultimate round. And if we have a tight championship battle, that would be a really fun race to watch, I'll tell you that much. I'd love to be the guy selling tickets for it, I'll tell you that much for free. But we're coming up.
Is it Walt?
We're coming up on
Walt Disney himself selling tickets?
Well, regardless of whether that's true or not, we're coming up on 10 laps to go in this race, and Ryan Griffin finally decided he's going to get a move on. He's going to try and get past Maston Rimmel in this 1 car, and J.D. Martin, he's got to follow him through.
Yeah, this is a big opportunity right here for that 72 car. Right now, the 92 being slowed up by the 1. They're still side by side, and it looks like J.D. Martin, he's really going to have to get past the 1 quickly, and he does. Let's see if he can make any move. He's just not close enough. They both went by in the same move, didn't gain or lose any time to each other. So frustrating for J.D. Martin to try to take that opportunity right there, and it's just not going to happen quite yet in this one. Time is running out, though.
I tell you what, though, this has been a great battle between these 2, and fans certainly got what they came here for, between 2 of the best to make starts in this series. So even if J.D. Martin's never won a race in this series, he's still a very good driver. He's won superstar races. He won a truck race earlier this season. This is the last item on his checklist, and not only would he be the first driver to win races in all 3 series, he'd also have achieved all 3 in the same season. So go figure on that.
Yeah, that's going to be something that few other drivers are going to be able to accomplish if J.D. Martin could pull it off. He's still got a little bit of time, and they've caught the 21 car. But right now, he's got a really tall task to try to pass this 92. We haven't seen a lot of passing within the top 5 all day today. The 72 has, however, been the only one to do a lot of passing in that set of positions. So we'll see if he's able to do it. He's right on the bumper. We could see maybe a desperation move towards the end. We got just a little bit of dust in the air, double zero.
Yeah, he looks like he's got a tire down of his own in that double zero. He's going to be making a beeline for pit road. Oh, but he washes up the track. He's got a tire down this. He's going to pull in the pit lane. Let's see where he pulls off right there.
To go high. Opportunity, possibly.
That's given JD a perfect opportunity to try and get the lead from Ryan Griffin, but he pulls it down low, but he loses all his momentum on the entry, and that's going to kill him on exit. Ryan Griffin passes back by.
Oh, man, that was the best chance. He had everybody moving up the track. The 92 moved up there out of safety. J.D. Martin had an opportunity to try to drop low, squeeze in between
he tried
the slower double zero, and then it just wasn't enough. Wow, that might have been the best chance that the 72 had. Maybe he just wasn't prepared for something like that to happen. You never prepared for that specific circumstance, but oh, man, that was so close.
And this is the last chance J.D. Martin has at a Nitro win this season. This is his last scheduled start of the 2024 season. So he's got to make it happen now in the final 3 laps of this race if he's going to make anything happen on Ryan Griffin.
Yeah, and he's farther back than he has been for a while. So every single time he's going a little bit low, a little bit lower through each of the turns, just to try to get a little bit of air on that nose, a little bit more downforce if he can through the corner to try to help him with that turn. Boy, and it's just not been working so far for the 72.
Yeah, he's going to need some help from the lap traffic, but the thing is, I think Ryan Griffin's aware of that. He's not even going to try and pass the lap traffic. He's more focused on keeping the 72 behind him than trying to pass the 21, because he doesn't need to pass the 21 at this point in time. We're coming to the white flag right here.
Yeah, so this is the last gasp for the 72 of J.D. Martin. And, you know, I really think that he's going to have to try to make an attempt through 1 and 2, but he just isn't close enough to really make anything happen. There's the last chance down the back straightaway. 1 set of corners to go.
Can he make a big move into turn 3 and 4? I think he's too far back to make it happen. So for Ryan Griffin, it's been a season he probably wishes he could have redone at the start of the year. But he's going to make up for it now with his second win of 2024. Ryan Griffin, with a commanding performance, leads all but 8 laps of this race, en route to his second win of the year.
Boy, and if it weren't for the pit stop cycle, he would have led every single lap in this race. I think that 92 car was unstoppable. The only car that we thought might have had a chance did have a chance. J.D. Martin, for the last 20 or 30 laps, he was right there on him and just was never able to make anything happen. Ryan Griffin, too fast, too strong today to have any of that happen. But it's tough for everybody else in the field when Ryan Griffin has such a great run.
But James Ellison, he needed a good day to keep his season alive. He brings it home third, ahead of all 3 of the Fair & Co cars in a line. Henry Thomas, though, brings it home 11th. He will still be the points leader at the end of this race, but perhaps a missed opportunity to gain some of his lead back.
Yeah, I think that this is probably, you know, not exactly the result they were looking for. They would have rathered have the 0-1 finish behind them. However, this is not a detrimental result for that team.
It's not the end of the world, for sure.
Yeah.
As it looks like earlier we lost Tegan Fox from this race with an engine failure earlier in the day. A tough break for the 78 who's had a turn of bad luck. And Kev Shearer finally brought it home across the line in 23rd position. Not going to help him. He's not out of it yet, but he's just lost a little bit more ground.
Yep, absolutely.
But with Ryan Griffin now only 1 win away from tying the all-time wins lead in the Nitro National Series for Alex Frigette-Barube, who surely was watching this race and thinking of how close he is to losing that record. And Aiden Clare, despite his issues late, actually did take the fastest lap from Ryan Griffin on the final few trips around the track. So not a max points day for Ryan Griffin, but I'm sure he'll take it nonetheless. But from Duke Ansek and from myself as well, we say goodbye from Rockingham. It was a great race, despite Ryan Griffin leading almost all of it. We'll see you again next week at the Walt Disney World Speedway in Buena Vista, Florida. We're looking forward to that as much as you are. For the final 2 races, we'll see if anyone can catch Henry Thomas, who hangs on to a 27-point lead as we head down to Florida.